Hello and welcome back to another Redstone video. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be ranking all of our redstone components. We got all of them right here behind us, and then over there we got our little tier list board. Now, going to be honest, took this straight from Momo Jumbo. He just came out with a video ranking all these, and he was wondering how other people felt about them, and going through the comments, a lot of other people were wondering how other redstoners felt about some of these components and how they would rank them. So here's my ranking. All right, to start off, I did like the whole idea about glow frames being, that's a top component in that tier. So that's what we're going to be using this glow item frame for. But first items here, we got redstone torches. I mean, I cannot argue with the logic that these are S tier. Everything requires them pretty much. Putting these any lower than S is just, it's dumb. Next, I've been thinking about this one a lot since I saw Mumbo's video. That, I'll be honest, ranking block redstone where he did offended me slightly. I'm going to have to say this is going to be our first B plus for redstone block, and that is because there are a lot of things that just would not work without the redstone block. It is a movable redstone signal. I mean, we got the etho hopper clock that requires a redstone block. It is very important in the things that it's used in, but it does cause a lot of issues in a lot of builds if you use a redstone block as opposed to, say, a torch. So because of that, it can't go in. I don't think it could be any higher than a B, but I do think it is definitely B plus. In order to get an A, it needs to be better than a redstone block. Next, repeaters, patterns, just like redstone does, and torches. Pretty much everything requires these and needs these. Redstone would not be what it is without these blocks. Target blocks, I mean, we can't redirect redstone without them. And you can, but they are the best thing to redirect. So S, almost want to put them in A, but I do think they deserve an S spot. Now, levers, I like the way that they look. I prefer buttons, but there are some things where just a lever is really nice and important. So I want to say they're A. All right, next we have the buttons. I thought about this for a while because the buttons do work slightly different. You get a quick pulse and a longer pulse, as well as wooden buttons you can activate by shooting them with an arrow, which is kind of handy. At first I was thinking about moving the wooden ones down to A, but because of the fact that you can activate them from far away, I'll give them an S. And then stone buttons, use them in almost everything. It'd be almost criminal not to put them in S. Pressure plates, I'm thinking pressure plates are hard. So is it better than a redstone block? I don't think so. I do think the wooden one is the best. I think stone is probably the worst. I was thinking about C. Honestly, I think D. Solid D. And then these other two are kind of niche. They are useful, but they're a bit more niche, I think, than a wooden. So I'm going to give them both solid C's. All right, now, honestly, all the skulk stuff, I'm going to give them all D's. I was so excited for these when they came out. Wireless redstone sounded amazing. In practice, they're kind of meh. I mean, they are very useful in the things that you use them with, but it's so niche that you want to give them both D's. And then our Skulk Shrieker, I want to give it a solid F. There's some use cases for it, but there's not many. And most of the things that you'd use it for, just use something else. Next, leaves. So leaves are interesting. You could send signal through them, as well as you can waterlog them. I don't use them a lot myself, but there's a lot of things they're used in where they just wouldn't work without leaves. So because of that, I'm going to stick them in B here. Soul sand. Soul sand is very important for bubble elevators and item transportation. I wouldn't quite put it in an S, but I would definitely give it an A because it is very important. Now, magma blocks aren't quite as important. It's nice to speed things along, but gravity does a really good job pulling things down. So we'll give magma blocks a good C. Walls. Walls. I'll give it walls B. All right, so we're just kind of going down the line here. Next, chicken eggs. So chickens were very popular with randomizers. Not so much anymore. Still can be used. I'll give them a D. Amethyst. C, D. I'm going to give it a D. Wool. Wool has a few uses. So it muffles sound, as well as traditionally it is the block that is used to color code redstone. It doesn't need to be wool, but historically it's wool. The actual redstone usage of it, I'd say puts it in a D. But you know what? We'll give it a glowing D, just because it does help differentiating redstone lines because of the color coding. You can now use things like concrete and such, but we'll give it to wool. Tripwire hooks. Down here as well. String. String's a little bit more useful. Your C. We'll say it's a top C. Lecterns. Lecterns are interesting because you can use them to give out different redstone signal strength, like books and such, which that's really nice. It's like it a little bit more than string, so we'll put it there. Daylight sensors. I'm gonna put down here in C. All right, next, lightning rods. I don't think I've ever used a lightning rod in a single redstone build ever. Put that in now. Next, we got some really good things here. I'm actually going to give some of these top S's. So pistons, sticky pistons. And I'd say these two here are some of the most important redstone components ever. Slime blocks are almost there, but I don't think they're quite as up there. And honey blocks, same. The slime droppers, dispensers are also very solid, very important. It's pretty much everything that's up here right now. You could not make the vast majority of farms or contraptions without these things. All right, next, the crafter. I really like the crafter. There are some really cool things you can do with it, and being able to just compact things from your farms, super useful. As well as you can have a bunch of redstone signal strength coming out of it. It's nice to have up to 9, but don't know if it gets to live in S. I am going to give it a solid A+. Now hoppers, I'm going to say solid S, needed for almost everything. Chests, yes. I am missing something, I feel like. I don't know where barrels are down there. I might have missed them, but barrels, right there with chests. So barrels, you can stick them in really tight spaces, makes them very convenient. Chests, you could double them up. They each have their own usage, and both of them very important. Now these next few blocks, admittedly, I haven't really used much, but yeah, we'll still try to rank them. Terracotta, I'm going to give it a D just because I have never once needed it. It's useful in what it's needed in, but I've just never needed it. Copper grates, you can waterlog them, use them, they're nice. I'll give them a solid C. Powdered snow, same as terracotta, I'm going to give it a D. Transparent blocks. Now, I've been thinking about this one for a little bit. I'm torn between B and C, which tells me to give it an upper C, C+. Transparent blocks are very useful, use them a lot, but they aren't quite as good as these other items would be. So I found barrels, they're down here on this next set. We're just skipping over them because we already got it. All right, now next, creaking. Massive disappointment in a way. Used for wireless redstone, kind of, sort of, not really. Just the amount of stipulations for it, whatever. Not great. He's getting kind of full here. Bookshelves. Oops. Trying to do that. Chisel bookshelf. Yeah, solid C. It's a decent. Furnaces. Now furnaces, I'm going to give an A. You get an inventory out of them. You need them to change items from one to another. Smelting, very important, of course. And as well as their movable objects. They're handy. Handy to have. Yeah, no. I'm going to give it a B+. It's not on the same level as these, but it's on the same level as these, if not slightly above. Trap chest. Trap chests used to be very, very useful. Now, not so much. Like back in the day when you couldn't put chests next to each other, but now, give them a solid C. Jukeboxes. Yeah, jukeboxes are a lot like target blocks. I want to put them in A. They do the same thing as target blocks, and you can get an inventory slot out of them. Honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, it'd be wrong to not put them in the same place as the target block. Decorative pot. I'm going to have to give it a D. Yes and no for its usefulness. Yeah, we'll give it a D+. Decorative pot, D+. Observers, one of the best redstone items in the game. Gotta give it that S+. All right, now we're starting to get into a lot more of the common, well, semi-common redstone items. Note blocks, I'm going to put them right there at the crafter, A+. Use them a lot for a lot of random things, but they're not quite as good as some of the things in S. Composter and cauldron, movable things that you could take inventory, inventory. Movable things you could take an inventory out of, get different comparator levels. Both of these, solid A's. Regular rails, I'm gonna give it a B. Power rails, awesome, A. Protector rails, A. Activator rails, I'm gonna put them down here in B. Yeah, that feels right. Regular mine carts, I'm gonna say B. They're useful, but not quite as useful as the next thing. Hopper mine carts. Hopper mine carts, I have to give them an S. Just sheer amount of things that you use them in. They're able to pull objects through solid blocks that normally you can't pull things through. Great item. Shulker boxes. I'm kind of torn between S and A. Whenever I'm torn, tells me it should be a plus in the bottom one. So A+ is a very solid thing. Allows you to sort things. I mean, what can we say about shulkers? Shulkers are awesome. They're one of the best storage things that has been put in. As far as redstone, I don't think it's as good as any of these things, but it's still really, really nice. Packed ice. Packed ice is really, really good for moving items really fast through the system. So like farms, sorting systems, but that's really all it's got. But I want to put it in S because what it does really, really well, and it's really awesome. But that's all it does. So I think because of that, it gets an A+. Dripstone, I'd say is a solid B. Really nice. Obsidian, good, solid, and movable block. I forgot there's a spot over here. I'm going to give it a B as well. Slabs are really nice, and I think they're better than redstone blocks. So yeah, that puts it at an A. And next we got some of the more niche things. Minecart chest. I'm going to give it a D+. I never used them in any of my builds, but yeah, they're pretty decent. They're nice. Minecart with furnace. I don't think I've ever even thought about using it. I've at least thought about using a hopper. I don't want to give it an F because that just feels wrong. I mean, minecart with TNT is really good for traps. So I feel like building traps, but I don't. So D as well. You know, these boats don't really care for them. Reuse them and get enough. Wooden doors and iron doors. I'm hard pressed to say. We'll say wooden doors C, iron doors a D. Again, I've never really had to use a lot of them in my builds. A couple builds I've had to use them in, they have been helpful. And trapdoors. Trapdoors are actually a little bit more helpful than you'd think they'd be. They're good for lining things up as well as just kind of not messing up your redstone. I'll give them a solid C. Gates. I haven't really had to use a gate in any of my builds since the old fishing farms. So I'm going to give it a D. If you had asked me a few years ago, I probably would have given it a B. TNT, I personally don't use it a lot, but if you're doing things like tree farms, mud farms, any big giant farm, TNT dupers are very important for those. So give that a solid B. Redstone lamps, I think the copper bulb has kind of pushed redstone lamps down. Before I would have given them a B, but I think because of the copper bulb, give them a C+ now, honestly. Next to, never even thought about using them in a build. Maybe I should change that, but yeah, give them an F. Armor stands I haven't used, but I will admit they're useful. I'll give it a nice solid C. Alright, and now we got the last set that mumbled it, and apparently I skipped over the copper bulb at some point. So, speaking of the copper bulb, I'm going to give it a nice solid S. It's just a very awesome and versatile new redstone block. They did kind of nerf it before the official release, but it is still really awesome. It's allowed for shrinking a lot of different gates, as well as just being able to put redstone signals next to each other the way you can with the copper bulb. It's just awesome. I cannot do it justice just how good that is. Other people can. Copper bulb, really awesome block. These next ones, honestly, redstone ore, I don't think I've ever used it in a build. Cactus, really good for breaking mine carts and allowing you to just kind of send it through systems. So if you're using a minecart in your build, cactus are actually really important. I'll give it a nice solid C because of that. Sea pickles, you need them for lining items when you're using water streams. Other than that, that's about it. We'll give them a D plus for that. Cobwebs allow us to slow down items. Really nice because of that. Wind charges. I'm gonna have to give them a D. And then blocks of netherite. I mean, movable, blast resistant block sounds great in theory, but while it's moving, it loses its blast resistance. So I'm gonna have to give it a D because of that. All right, and that's all the items that Mumbo ranked, at least. I do have 4 more items I want to rank. So we got the iron trapdoor, which honestly I don't think is as good as the wooden one, so I'm going to give it a D. Our D is almost as full as our S's. Mud blocks. Now mud blocks I really like because it allows us to be able to condense a lot of our farms that used to have to use hopper minecarts. We can now just use hoppers because hoppers could suck through mud because they aren't quite as tall as regular blocks. So I really like mud blocks in new farms. Because of that, I'm tempted to give it an A, but I'm going to give it a solid B plus. Really great in new farms. Sand is an interesting block in redstone because gravel also work in this. There used to be a lot of really cool builds back in the day that used sand. I haven't seen a lot recently though. I want to put it in B, but I think just because it's not as useful anymore as it used to be, it gets a C. Carpets are also very handy when mob proofing, and there's a lot of farms where you got to mob proof them. Because of that, carpets, give them a nice solid C. All right, that's it. This is my tier list of every redstone component. Of course, everyone's going to rank everything slightly different. I'm curious, what would you guys have ranked some of these things? Let me know down in the comments below. If you like this video, please hit that like and subscribe button. And if you want to see more things like this, let me know. Until next time, see ya.